Autumn nature of Washington State. A flock of birds flies away in autumn, creating a bird wedge in the sky. After migrating thousands of miles, they'll return here in the spring. Perhaps the birds leave their native meadows with hope to come back soon. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. American poet Emily Dickinson in verse compared the elusive emotion of hope with a songbird. For her, hope sings a melody like a bird, and nothing can stop it. It is the Pacific Northwest state of Washington in the United States of America. Nothing can hold back the turbulent water flows of the waterfall on the historical dam, built more than 100 years ago. It was laid during the construction of the railway, and now is a tourist destination for vacationers. Even the infrastructure is buried in the nature of the state, which is also called the land of contrasts. Here, Cascade Mountains and fertile trees, century-old sequoias, and active volcanoes harmoniously complement each other. The causeway leads to an amazing place in the heart of Washington State, the classic German village of Leavenworth. Once here, you'll bet you were mysteriously transported to Bavaria. The German theme and Bavarian-style architecture are charming. Many tourists from all over the world come here, especially in autumn, during the Autumn Leaf Festival, their Oktoberfest, and Thanksgiving. The Autumn Leaf Festival is the most long-awaited holiday in Leavenworth. It's held on the fourth weekend of September. They have music in the parks, street food, quests, entertainment, a car show, planting roses, team competitions, and the culmination is the grand parade on the central square. However, the Autumn Leaf Festival is just one of the exciting fall celebrations in Leavenworth. They also hold their Oktoberfest to enjoy fantastic food and world-class beer. And also the Salmon Festival on the river. This is a holiday adventure in the fresh air. It symbolizes the return of salmon and is accompanied by a costume parade, rafting, fishing, and a hike to a Native American village. Tourists especially like the fall wine walks. Local guides offer to enjoy a glass of delicious wine on a clear autumn day, walking along the picturesque streets in the city center. It seems like there are festivals in Leavenworth almost every weekend. Although the German theme of this village is impressive and charming, there is much more here than Bavarian pastries and traditional German clothes. The village is located in a valley against the backdrop of the famous Cascade Mountains of Washington State. Thanks to many trails and mountainous terrain, it is an ideal place for hiking, mountain biking, or rock climbing. And thanks to the Wenatchee River, you can enjoy some of the best river rafting in the world. This settlement in the center of Washington State was once a thriving logging village. At the end of the 19th century, gold mining was developed here. When the construction of the railway began in the village, it became famous and grew rapidly. Railway workers, gold seekers, and loggers all gathered here. They built houses, bought land plots, and settled in a new place. Leavenworth had become one of the largest sawmills in America. However, for 40 years, the timber on the slopes of the mountains and in the valley of the river was cut down. As a result, many residents were left without work and means of subsistence. The industry became unprofitable. Sawmills were closed. The last blow to the city's economy was the transfer of the railway route, after which the town quickly began to fall into disrepair and die. Although there were beautiful yellow orchards blooming near the village, however, they could not give work to all the loggers who were left without jobs. This forced local residents to ponder about their fate and the future development of the city. The solution was prompted by the extremely picturesque Cascade Mountains and the rapid growth of production in the Seattle area, which really lacked places for recreation and entertainment. In order to revive the village and attract tourists, the fathers of Leavenworth decided to completely change its appearance and breathe new life into a semblance of a Bavarian settlement in Germany, since the unique mountainous terrain is very similar to Bavaria. And they did everything so realistically that, having arrived here, it's really easy to think that you have found yourself in Germany. This little Bavaria among the Cascade Mountains was designed and built by the whole world. Architects and builders, as well as enthusiastic residents, tried to recreate not only the architecture of streets and houses, but also folk Bavarian traditions, spirit, holidays, and rituals. Private foundations and banks financed the reconstruction of the village. Painted buildings made the village look like a fairy tale, a toy town. The original idea worked. Very quickly, the architecture, signage of buildings, and street names began to change to imitate the German style. And it worked. Leavenworth has turned into an alpine-type tourist center. It became a place of tourist pilgrimage and one of the most visited places on the Pacific coast of the United States, not only just in Washington State. A few decades ago, Leavenworth became a Bavarian village. The German look on the houses on the central street, German national clothes in numerous shops and restaurants, German music, and German beer with sausages. They all allow you to continuously wander along the main street for hours at a time and never be bored. Leavenworth is also famous for the amazing Nutcracker Museum, where more than 5,000 nutcrackers from 38 countries are displayed. Some of them over 500 years old. Now, outdoor enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and artists, as well as adventurers, come here. Leavenworth is an amazing and colorful city, with an abundance of picturesque views, which is worth visiting for everyone. Not only the city is very popular, but also the entire Leavenworth district. The river, numerous streams, parks, and educational museums are just a short list of what the city has to offer. It is also magnetically attractive to bikers, kayakers, and climbers. In autumn, people come here to feel the time of change and see the beauty that manifests itself in the bright colors of the crowns. The surrounding landscapes become especially colorful and picturesque. When the trees shed their leaves and the air gets colder, nature changes. She dozes and rests until she blooms again in spring. The French philosopher Albert Camus once said that autumn is the second spring, where every leaf is a flower. The main attraction of Leavenworth is nature. You don't need to be an athlete or a professional traveler to enjoy it. You can simply walk along one of the many hiking trails. As in any settlement, Leavenworth has its own secrets and places that only locals know. For example, the Mountain Home Road Wild Trail. This dirt and gravel road with a length of almost 21 kilometers is quite difficult to find. But it is here that you can see the town in all of its beauty from a height of 1,500 meters. The scenic route is the main one for mountain bikes. On the road, you can drive in both directions. On average, the passage of the trail by two-wheeled takes a little more than an hour, but you can also walk it. We were lucky enough to shoot this road in the midst of a fantastic, multicolored autumn season. At this time, nature, before plunging into a deep winter sleep, shows off the beauty of its creations. In autumn, mountain landscapes fascinate with bright colors. The combination of the rich green color of coniferous trees and gold foliage is amazing. This road is the center of an extensive system with numerous trails for mountain biking. There's also a huge number of boulders nearby, which are used by climbers. After driving about a third from the beginning of the trail, Leavenworth and the magnificent Icicle Canyon will be visible. These stunning and breathtaking views will definitely never disappear from your memory. Another interesting feature of Mountain Home Road is the old railway rails lying on one of the sections of the road. There are many stories about these mysterious rails. However, in fact, a local entrepreneur wanted to build a ski resort here. It was planned that the train would bring tourists directly to the resort. However, these plans never materialized. Along the road, there are observation decks that open panoramas of the mountains. In addition to the magnificent views, the consequences of the 1994 forest fire are striking. During that big blaze, this area suffered a lot. Until now, on the road, you can see a lot of burnt trunks standing along young trees and shrubs growing in the place of trees that perished. The pearl of the Bavarian village is called the Park on the banks of the Waterfront River. This is a real joy for locals and a salvation for tourists from noisy cities. There is a winding trail along the park for almost 5 kilometers. Families often walk here on a sunny day, on an autumn blanket of leaves rustling under their feet. At the same time, admiring the views of the river and mountains, the high peaks of which are hidden in the clouds. The park is perfectly landscaped. Benches along the trail allow visitors to relax and spend time among the surrounding beauty, reflecting on their lives. Fishing on the pond, children enjoying spending time. You could bring along a picnic or play baseball. The park is called the best place in Washington State for bird watching. Through binoculars, visitors can admire a bald eagle, a red-winged thrush, a heron, a seagull, or an American raven. Walking along the banks of the river, sometimes you'll see salmon jumping out of the water and swimming upstream during autumn. This Bavarian village is one of the best places for photos of autumn foliage. Although Washington State is called evergreen because it's famous for its rich forests and dense green wild places, but with the onset of autumn, maples and aspens explode with fiery crimson, golden yellow, and bright orange flowers throughout the state. Leavenworth is surrounded by the Cascade Mountains. This is the best place to enjoy the autumn nature show. Forests become transformed when the color of their leaves begins to change. A mixture of greens, gold, and red only enhance their attractiveness. The color of the foliage depends on the weather and can change dramatically, especially because of heavy rains or wind, and also because of untimely temperatures, too hot or too cold. After a dry and warm summer, the autumn foliage is especially bright. Washington State, and Leavenworth in particular, is one of the most picturesque places in the world for shooting autumn foliage. The leaves fall off so that the tree can survive winter. Leaf fall is a kind of self-defense form for nature. Trees lack light and water in the cold season. The sunny days shorten and the light becomes insufficient for regeneration. If these leaves were not shed, it would threaten the integrity of the plant itself. Interestingly, the autumn leaves are not just blown off of trees, but are separated from the plants in a strictly controlled process. When the days get shorter and the air temperature drops, the tree begins to shed its foliage. First, the pigment of the leaves changes from green to bright red and yellow shades. Then, the vessels of the plant carrying water to the foliage are closed. A layer of cells begins to grow between the leaf petiole and the branch. These cells serve to slowly cut a leaf from a tree without leaving an open wound. When the leaves fall off, the tree gradually sinks into winter sleep, saving its energy for spring budding. That is, the leaves fall off so the tree can survive the winter and grow new leaves in the spring. There is an opinion that autumn, as a time of transformations, is an ideal time for writers. People change along with nature. Autumn makes most of us think about the changes that the year brings. As the wheel of life turns, autumn reminds us of the impermanence of all living things. People traditionally spend more time indoors during this period, change their summer clothes for warm clothes, and begin to prepare for winter. The perfect time to drink hot cocoa and light a fire in the fireplace, feel comfort, warmth, and plunge into reflection. Inevitably, at this time of year, there is a reverie about the past summer and things that have changed irrevocably. Maybe that's why, to make it less melancholy and sad, autumn is full of family holidays and fun. Autumn has inspired writers for centuries. It shows how wonderful it is to let go of things or thoughts. The English poet Emilia Bronte described this time of year as bliss. Fall, leaves fall, die, flowers away. Lengthened night and shortened day. Every leaf speaks bliss to me, fluttering from the autumn tree. Before you fully plunge into autumn experiences, don't miss the moment from mid to late August to admire the wildflowers in Mount Rainier National Park. It's located in Washington State, 3 hours away from Leavenworth. The park is over 100 years old, and over the years has developed relic forests and alpine meadows in the open spaces. At the height of the season, the reserve is covered with a pale blue color. It's a visual treat to visit here. The flowering season is different every year and shifts depending on the weather and nature of precipitation. Also, do not forget that at different heights, the peak of flowering occurs at different times. Beautiful wildflowers turn meadows into a colorful ocean. There are hundreds of plant species here, from alpine asters to glacier lilies. These are huge valleys filled with inflorescences. Many people do not even suspect how much more beautiful hiking along the trails becomes in the season of wildflowers. These are endless fields of blue, light blue and dark purple lupine mixed with white plants. These are incredibly dreamy landscapes. Some panoramas with grasses along the trails, fluffy flowers framing perfect lakes, may even seem surreal. The most popular area in this national park is the territory of the southern slope of Mount Rainier. It's called Paradise and is located at an altitude of 1,600 meters. This paradise area of the park is definitely one of the most beautiful places in the world. There are several excellent trails in Paradise, well paved and delightful. The Paradise area will also appeal to fans of waterfalls. They're easy to approach because they're located close enough to the road with a convenient viewing platform. There are more than 150 waterfalls in the park, and most are located in Paradise. The area is famous for its epic mountain views and valleys with a variety of herbs, as well as reflection lakes. These lakes are a combination of 3 reservoirs and the most photographed place in the park. In these subalpine lakes, you can see the magical reflection of Mount Rainier. In summer, the lakes are bordered by wildflowers. And with the onset of autumn, they become a mirror image of the outgoing heat. The lakes are easily accessible. This place is perfect for shooting sunrise or sunset. Then the water becomes like glass, and the reflection of Mount Rainier in the lake is stunning. Interestingly, the lakes are often visited by herpetologists who study frogs and tadpoles and their behavior in the wild. The Inspiration Point is another popular place in Paradise. This is an observation deck with a view of Mount Rainier. This observation point was designed specifically to emphasize the beauty of the mountain and the surrounding landscape, as well as to make them look as natural as possible. Mount Rainier, towering 4,392 meters, is the symbol of the state of Washington. This is an active volcano named after the British Admiral of the Royal Navy, Peter Rainier. It's also a peak with an abundance of glaciers. The mountain has inspired everyone who has come to see it for centuries. The American writer, the father of national parks, John Muir, when he visited Mount Rainier in the Paradise area in the early 20th century, said that this was the most luxuriant and most extravagantly beautiful of all the alpine gardens he had ever beheld in all of his mountaintop wanderings. Some viewing platforms offer a close view of the mountain that you can see cracks in the numerous glaciers of this peak. Tourists sometimes compare it to the first row in the cinema. Such extreme close-ups are very rare. It is combined with wildflowers and wild animals. A real fantasy. Despite its beauty, Mount Rainier is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world. According to volcanologists, about 80,000 people live in the risky areas surrounding Mount Rainier. Scientists say that even a sudden eruption of a volcano is possible almost without prior warning. At the same time, the last eruption of Mount Rainier occurred in 1894. Climbing a mountain is not an easy task. According to preliminary estimates, out of thousands who try to climb Mount Rainier, only half reach the top. Nevertheless, there were also some unusual cases in the history of this volcano. Lieutenant John Hodgkins, U.S. Air Force, landed his ski-equipped Piper Cub on top of Mount Rainier on April 12, 1951. At that time, it was a world record for landing an airplane at an altitude of 4,394 meters. He was an experienced climber and photographer and had dreamt of such an act. This bold outburst did not leave the front pages of newspapers for several days. However, the pilot was charged with landing the plane in a national park without permission and fined $350. Hodgkin later told reporters that in this way, he wanted to show how useful it is to use light aircraft for rescue operations at high altitude. This story was borrowed by the writer Ian Fleming and artistically described in the series of books about the English spy James Bond, Agent 007. Photographers note that Mount Rainier National Park is an amazing place to watch the stars. Here you can take some fantastic astrophotography pictures. The sky above the park is quite dark, and atmospheric photos are obtained, creating the impression that the mountain is spewing galactic beauty. In summer, the park hosts special stargazing programs for children. You can also see the Perseid meteor shower every year and witness epic green and blue meteors cascading over Mount Rainier. But it is not only the stars that can be viewed in the park. One of the most fun activities here is watching wildlife and its active inhabitants. There are surprisingly many animals in the park. The favorites among visitors are funny marmots, shy black bears, mountain goats, and royal moose. Tourists note that marmots are the cutest and most playful creatures in the park. It's believed that they spend 80% of their life underground, so it's a real treat to see them in action. Marmots are most often found in spring, summer, and autumn, from around April through October. They are especially active in the wildflower season. You can even watch them play with plants or eat them. They could be seen on meadows, trails, or you'll hear that characteristic high-pitched whistle. Another quite popular area in Washington State is the Rattlesnake Ledge Trail, one of the most beloved among locals. Even in the early rainy morning on a weekday, there are lots of tourists here. Spectacular high-altitude views, a relatively uncomplicated route, and proximity to Seattle have made this path a favorite among travelers. The route was equipped almost 20 years ago. It was originally planned that 70,000 people a year would visit this trail. The Seattle area was booming, and the popularity of the Rattlesnake Ledge Trail grew with it. Now, it is visited by 300,000 people a year. The length of the trail is 8.5 kilometers. It leads to a fantastic cliff ledge and an observation deck at about 350 meters above the lake. Going back and forth takes an average of about 3 hours. And although the name of the Rattlesnake Ledge Trail hints at a difficult route, it is in fact not that tough. Tourists of all ages come here, from school kids to pensioners, to plunge into the picturesque points above the mountains. A well-groomed trail passes through dense pine trees and leads to 3 stunning viewing platforms. There will be a lot of wild white, yellow, purple flowers and blueberry bushes along the way. On the first hill of the mountain, there are huge boulders on the side of the trail. They're also called greeting rocks. Then the road winds around the mountain in turns. There are a couple of bridges, and then the final ascent straight to the ridge. Although the trail to the Rattlesnake Ledge is open all year round, the largest number of people come here in the summer months. This is a one-day hike since there is no camping on the observation decks and on the lake. Despite the fact that the word rattlesnake is in the name of the trail, there are no rattlesnakes in this area. There used to be open grassy fields. When the wind blew and the grass was thrown off, locals said it sounded like the hissing of rattlesnakes, hence the name. Those turquoise blue tones of the lake against the background of dense pine forests of the valley, it's just impossible to see enough of this. At the beginning of the 20th century, a city was built on the site of the lake. Railway builders lived there. Over time, the settlement was slowly flooded by a stone dam. The flood destroyed the city and formed Rattlesnake Lake. Now it adorns a dense pine forest like a diamond. No wonder why this basalt ledge is always bustling with people, as if in a city park. Everyone wants to see the lake with their own eyes from a height. This rocky platform rewards every tourist who managed to get to the top with beautiful landscapes. Looking from a height at this fascinating nature, I'd like to say that national parks are a gift for generations, and they need to be protected and cherished every minute. In recent years, wildfires have been increasingly occurring in the states of Washington, Oregon, and California. In September of 2022, there were 18 large fires in the forests. These incidents led to the evacuation of people. Many residents were left without electricity. Experts suggest that climate change has affected the increased frequency of forest fires. The weather has become warmer and drier for 3 decades. Accordingly, the climate will become more extreme, and forest fires will become more frequent and destructive. Because of wildfires in Washington state parks, a ban on campfires and the use of charcoal may be imposed. All because of the hot, dry, and windy weather, which easily picks up the flame from the fire. Before visiting the Cascade Mountains, be sure and check to see if a ban on fires is in effect. For millions of years, forest fires have been a normal and even positive phenomenon, and they've had a great impact on terrestrial ecosystems. Moreover, scientists say that the fires had pronounced evolutionary consequences for the floral and fauna of the Earth. The planet's carbon-rich vegetation, seasonally dry climate, atmospheric oxygen, widespread lightning, and volcanic fires create good conditions for natural fires. They have a beneficial effect on ecosystems. The habitat after a strong natural fire has a higher species richness and diversity than an unburned old forest. For example, redwoods common in Washington National Parks, thanks to wildfires, release seeds from cones, and the soil is cleared for new trees. Forest fires can occur by themselves. This requires dry grass, high temperatures, and dry air. There is also a risk of a fire from volcanic eruptions or sparks during rockfalls. However, most often, natural fires occur due to lightning. Curiously, about 100 lightning bolts touch the ground every second. Every year, about 25,000 fires occur due to lightning. Interestingly, the fire moves faster when climbing up and not vice versa. There is such a phenomenon as a fire tornado, when the winds whip around the fire and begin to rotate. But in the modern world, man has made forest fires more serious, and the area of scorched lands has doubled in comparison with natural ignitions. In recent years, fires due to human activity most often occur during the use of chainsaws, grinders, or mowers, when a spark may occur involuntarily. Also, due to the operation of overhead power lines or targeted arson. In 2021, record forest fires swept around the world. They are believed to have been caused by climate change and illegal tree felling. These fires are historically unprecedented. A year earlier, the California fire was one of the worst in U.S. history. It broke out in February of 2020 and lasted until the end of the year. At one point, an area the size of Washington State was burned every 24 hours. Nowadays, 80% of all forest fires are the work of man. They can be abandoned cigarettes, bonfires, and barbecues that have not been extinguished properly, as well as parties with fireworks and pyrotechnics. In other words, about 4 of 5 forest fires are caused by humans. One of the most dangerous is crown fires. They are spread by the wind moving rapidly through the treetops. Running crown ignitions burn very brightly, spread quickly, and change direction quickly. The toxicity of smoke from forest fires increases every year and poses an increasing threat to human health. As trees, shrubs, grass, and peat are burned, a large amount of smoke and soot is released into the atmosphere. All this rises several kilometers in height and spreads across large regions, polluting the air even in remote areas. Inhaling smoke from a fire can lead to burning in the eyes and allergies, heart and lung diseases. It is predicted that by the year 2100, the number of wildfires in the world will increase by 50% due to global warming. Judging by current trends, previously unaffected regions such as the Arctic are also likely to be engulfed by fires. The smoke from the fire envelops even the highest peak of the Cascade Mountains, Mount Rainier. Take care of nature. Her protection is our future. Sometimes we forget how much we depend on the mountains, the landscapes, and the oceans. Citizens living in modern skyscrapers need air to breathe, water to drink, and food to eat. All this was given to us by nature. Even if you live in a big city, away from oxygen-producing forests, natural water sources, or crop fields, your daily activities can have a strong impact on these natural resources. One drop of dishwashing detergent pollutes 1 million drops of water. Traveling in a fuel-powered car contributes to air pollution and global climate change. All this is the ecological footprint of a person. We can reduce it by recycling our garbage, using less plastic, recycling electronic devices, using less water, and saving electricity. We can use a bicycle and spend less paper, turn off the air conditioner when it's hot, and turn off the heating when it's cold. Help nature to survive, and it will help you.